Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going over the new patch notes. So today we have patch notes 1.14, and we have some pretty interesting nerfs and buffs, and I'm super excited to see where these take us. So first we have Lucian. His level 2 can now trigger the same round as leveling up. So this is basically a rules text change to match TF. Lucian, this is a pretty big buff because now once you level him up, you can attack again on that turn. So instead of having to wait an extra turn to win the game, you can have a potential win that turn, which can be the difference between winning and losing in certain situations where your opponent tapped out or doesn't have the right card and might draw something. While that may not seem like a big deal, it does matter quite a bit, especially when they have something like maybe a Broadback Protector that can heal them on their turn and just forces you into a really awkward position. So Shyvana went from 3 power to 4 power, so she's now 4 mana 4/4. 3 power is usually a pretty strong stat line, especially when she's already giving herself +1/+1 up to 5 power, or sorry, 4 power. Now she's getting 5 power. I don't really feel like 5 power versus 4 power is going to matter a lot, although they did just nerf Trundle, and he's down to 5 health, so that does matter in that specific situation, and she would rather have more health so she can survive an extra attack. You want the health stat more, be able to protect her, but still, it is a buff. I'm not sure it's going to make the Dragon Synergy work, but with some other possible buffs they could give to the strategy, and with some possible nerfs, we might see it come up. So next we have Vladimir. I am so excited for this because I just posted a video about a Vladimir aggro deck. Vladimir's been trying to be in a playable competitive card for a while, but the problem is, and the problem I even faced when playing my game, was that he kills your own allies. He has the ability to kill your own allies when attacking. He has the ability to make your units too weak when attacking. In the case with my Zap Spray Fins that game, my opponent had the elusive Poros, and my Zaps were dying. Luckily, I had a lethal in hand, but I would have liked those Zaps to survive that combat and be able to attack next turn, and that would have made the difference between winning and losing. I'm not saying that's why he hasn't been competitive. I'm just saying now that he says drain 1 from each attacking ally on the right, that is super big for him. Such a big change. And he had his level condition go down to 5+ units, making the Bilge Nox deck able to level him up even faster. I mean, you turn 1 a self-damaging unit like the crab, Krusty Crodger, then you get a turn 2 Fortune Croaker that's already 3. All you need is a 1 unit to deal damage to itself. Or in this case, you could use the Lizard because he deals damage. He'll do damage twice before you play Vladimir. You can do a whole ton of things. Another Fortune Croaker. There's a ton of ways you could just win the game. Level up Vladimir, then win the game turn 5, and that's just huge for the deck. I feel like he's going to have more competitive potential. I was already messing with the deck, and now that deck's just going to be so much more clean and so much better. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for that. Next, we have Trundle. He went down to 5 health, and his Ice Pillar went down 2 health. So basically, he's going to be less strong in his ability to beat mid-range decks and survive in a lot of scenarios. This is really interesting. Going down 1 health means a lot more units are going to be able to kill it. Lots of 5 power or 5 cost units are not going to be able to kill him. Before, the problem was you'd play a 5 cost unit, they play their Trundle, you would attack, or you couldn't attack because their Trundle would deal damage to your unit and not suffer any consequence because it just had regen. Now it's going to die in that trade usually, especially for Demacia decks. This is a huge buff, and it's going to make Trundle much worse. The identity of Trundle as a card is to be a defensive card able to help you block in a lot of scenarios. And if you can't block big 5 power units consistently, especially units coming off of Remembrance and such, it just hurts him a lot. Next, we have Ezreal. So Ezreal says you targeted 6+ enemies this game. So remember how everyone was talking and some people were saying, oh, he's going to go from 8 down to 6. And some people were like, no, he's going to go from 8 up to 10. Well, both, guys. He went up to 10 and now he's down to 6. The only difference is when he levels up, he says, Whenever you cast a spell, deal 1 to the enemy nexus, but if you're targeting a unit, you deal 2. So it's still, you Mystic Shot a unit, you get 2, but if you Mystic Shot the face, you're getting 3. You're only getting you're getting 1 additional damage from Ezreal still, so you're probably not targeting a unit if you're trying to end the game. And Rummage doesn't even have that choice, and other spells don't even have the choice. They just immediately deal 1 damage, right? So while that's a huge nerf, you have to cast twice as many general spells to kill the opponent. You can't cast 10 now, you have to cast 20 with a combination of some other spells. It does mean he also gets his level up out there much earlier, and it means he can become basically a very control synergistic card. Before, it was basically you're playing control until you can win the game. You're playing control till you get Karma leveled up, and then you get Ezreal out, and you just win. But now it's going to be more of, okay, you get out Ezreal pretty early, you've already leveled him up, now you're going to start killing the opponent's units and getting that free damage. So basically you're trying to kill units with Thermo Beam, with that Mystic Shot or whatever, and you're getting free value off that, slowly chipping down your opponent rather than just bursting him out at 1 turn. This feels much more fair. I definitely like the idea of having an Ezreal come out early and be sort of this unit that gets free value, like a Gutter Snipe from Magic the Gathering, that just gets free value out of you casting spells. I like that identity much better instead of what he used to be. And so I feel like he's going to be a little bit competitive now, probably not so much because he has a worse time dealing with the opponent's Nexus, but I feel like we can get around that. Next, we have the Jinx. I already talked about this. Basically, now if you do something with Rummage or the Experimenter guide that makes you... Basically, cards that discard your hand momentarily, then fill them back up. Poro Cannon does this too. Basically, if you level up Jinx while she's in play, if you play Jinx and then level her up with a card that refills your hand immediately after, it levels her up, and then you can discard those cards, and now you actually get the Rocket in response to that, the turn you play her. This means you can get a kill 1 turn earlier. It can mean wiping boards. It means a lot, and it's very good. Alright, Tarek went from 2 to 3 power. I guess he didn't need a health stat. Definitely didn't, because he had 4, and then he got tough. And if you're casting spells on him that heal him, it's good. I think really he needed a discount on his level up, because really he wants to be getting that invincible so he can get free attacks in. Even the invincible actually doesn't matter that much, because by then you're already wanting just to Fury the North and win. You really need to combo him with Noxus for the Overwhelm, I think, to make him competitive these days. And one extra power actually matters quite a bit in that scenario, but only 1. I don't know. Tarek is just hard to be viable. This isn't going to make or break him, but it is a little bit of support towards him, and I definitely think that the deck's gonna appreciate that. Next, we have a Tiana Crown Guard buff. She went from an 8 mana 7/7 to an 8 mana 8/8. Given that she doesn't have that overrun, I mean, they're going to chump block it no matter what, right? So that literally makes no difference. Wording Stones went from 4 to 3 health. That is huge. It means it dies to Get Excited. It dies to your own Icequake. This is a huge nerf. It means it can't block as easily. It means it's going to die more often and give other decks more leverage. And so with that comboed with the Trundle buff, we're going to see a decline in Feel the Rush. And I still feel like Feel the Rush is a powerful deck. It just won't be the only tier 1 deck. Next, we have Fuzzy Caretaker. He went from 4 to 3 mana and from 3 health to 2 health. This is competing now with the Lulu in the Laurent Protege slot. It's no longer competing with Shen, who was 4 mana, but I don't feel like this is better than Laurent Protege in that deck, where you just want the value off of getting the Challenger with a barrier or a Challenger with Lulu. Fuzzy Caretaker really needs to have 2 units. It needs to be supported, and it needs to support in order to get that value. And that means you have to have a consistent turn 1, turn 2, and one of those has to be a support, and one of those wants to be support. And if you don't have Young Witch, you kind of lose, because then you have no support for Fuzzy Caretaker. And since he only has 2 health, he absolutely needs that health buff when attacking, or else he's just going to die, and you're going to get no value out of his ability. And the whole point of him is to be a double value kind of guy, where he gets supported and gets the support, and then he survives that combat no matter what, and he makes it really hard for your opponent to want to trade with whatever you're doing. Or you've used the challenger, in this case you can pull something with a lot of health, but if you don't have that support, which there's not a lot of 2-mana supports, it just really sucks for the deck, and I don't feel like being 3 mana compared to 4 mana is going to help, especially when you'd rather play another support turn 3. Alright, so Mina Swiftfoot went from 6 power to 7 power, 5 health to 6 health, and quick attack. So assume you both have full boards. You bounce 3 things, they play 1 thing, you attack with everything. They're definitely blocking Mina Swiftfoot. Her 6 power versus 7 power stats never going to matter because of the same thing with Tiana Crown Guard. They're going to block it no matter what. It doesn't have overrun. The quick attack doesn't ever matter. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Like, there's no point in even talking about it. Alright, so Funsmith went from 5 to 4 mana and from 2 power to 1 power. The power doesn't matter. The cost definitely does. Being able to play her turn 4 and then getting a turn 5 Get Excited or Mystic Shot with 1 extra power attached to that is super interesting. It's hard because we don't really know what stat lines units are going to be having in the current meta, and most things would already be dying to a Get Excited. Maybe not Mystic Shot, and Mystic Shot might get powerful now if discard aggro stays and we need to kill Jinx or Draven with the Mystic Shot. Funsmith might just be the automatic card there, but she's also 4 mana in that scenario. You'd probably just want to play the Mystic Shot or a Chump Blocker. I don't know, but with Ezreal, what we're gonna see is Ezreal's now doing 2 damage to the Nexus with every spell because of her. Personally, I don't have that much experience. And 5 to 4 doesn't seem like a huge change, but it does mean you get that 5 mana, interactive 5 mana on turn 5. And that's when big cards are coming out. Trundle's coming out. Big units that are going to make it really hard, that are really hard to deal with big health stats are going to come out. And having a Funsmith on board might just change that entire game for you. So I don't know. It's definitely going to be interesting. Next we have Black Spear. It's still 3 mana, but now it does 4 damage instead of 3. That's a pretty big buff. Not a lot of things have. Okay, so I'm thinking of things that have 4 health. There's not a ton. Shyvana has 4. Taric has 4. So a lot of the interesting champions we're seeing lately have 4. And this is not going to be able to kill those. It's definitely much better than 3. It's not as good as 5. Actually, no, not a lot of things have 5. Most of 6. So 4 is definitely a good place for this card to be. I'm not sure that Shadow Isles is coming back, but I'm definitely going to try to bring it back because this is my favorite region, and you know. Next, we have Riptide Rex. He went from 7 power to 6 power, and now he only shoots 7 cannon barrages. Riptide was not being played at all. The problem is there's not a lot of good plunder activators. They already nerfed Bilgewater a little bit, and it hasn't seen play in this metagame at all. And I have been trying to play. I did play Riptide Rex in my Vlad deck, I believe. But now I'm going to probably remove it because I don't have enough plunder triggers anyway. And Riptide just doesn't feel like a good card when you're not wiping their entire board. I think the problem is that we don't have enough plunder activators, and when it comes to finishers, like Gangplank and Vlad can be good finishers, but they're only getting like 3 damage. Like it really depends on your board state, but oftentimes Gangplank and Vlad are only getting 3 damage, and then you're relying on Gangplank's overwhelm, and Vladimir, you're relying on having a wide board that you can attack with multiple times, and oftentimes you don't have that, and that's really tough for Bilgewater. I don't get the nerf personally, but Riptide has not been played ever since Bilgewater got that huge nerf, and nerfing it even further doesn't make sense. And sorry guys. The last card we have is Eclipse Dragon. It went from 5 health to 7 health. So basically, Aurelian Soul decks are going to see this. I don't know. Aurelian Soul decks don't really feel like they're good right now, but this can survive trading with a 5 cost unit, which means that if you play this turn 6 or turn 5 and get a couple turns early Aurelian, you're going to have this on board more likely than not. If you're forced to block with it to survive, you're going to see it living more often, and that means that Aurelian Soul is going to have an easier time leveling up, and with his 25 power condition, that is pretty important. Dragons do feel like they need a okay card draw. ability. This doesn't feel like it's it because you need that Nightfall, although the Daybreak is pretty powerful in certain cases, although for the Dragon deck, I really don't feel like it's going to be super impactful. So anyway, guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I love doing patch notes, and I can't wait to see where the metagame goes. And with that, guys, I will see you in the next one.